Mr. Gandhi and the Emancipation of the Untouchables. Chapter 8. Separate Settlements. Resolution number 4, referred to in the foregoing part of this paper, is to my mind quite self-explanatory, and not much detailed comment is necessary to explain its purport. Nor is it possible in the compass of this short paper to deal with it in no more than general terms. The demand for separate settlements is the result of what might be called the New Life movement among the Untouchables. The object of the movement is to free the Untouchables from the thraldom of the Hindus. So long as the present arrangement continues, it is impossible for the Untouchables either to free themselves from the yoke of the Hindus or to get rid of their untouchability. It is the close-knit association of the Untouchables with the Hindus living in the same villages which marks them out as Untouchables and which enables the Hindu to identify them as being untouchable. India is admittedly a land of villages, and so long as the village system provides an easy method of marking out and identifying the untouchable has no escape from untouchability. It is the village system which perpetuates untouchability, and the untouchables therefore demand that it should be broken, and the untouchables, who are as a matter of fact socially separate, should be made separate geographically and territorially too, and be grouped into separate villages exclusively of untouchables, in which the distinction of the high and the low, and of the touchable and the untouchable, will find no place. The second reason for demanding separate settlements arises out of the economic position of the untouchables in the village. That their condition is most pitiable, no one will deny. They are a body of landless labourers who are entirely dependent upon such employment as the Hindus may choose to give them, and on such wages as the Hindus may find it profitable to pay. In the villages in which they live, they cannot engage in any trade or occupation, for owing to untouchability, no Hindu will deal with them. It is therefore obvious that there is no way of earning a living which is open to the untouchables so long as they live as a dependent part of the Hindu village. This economic dependence has also other consequences besides the condition of poverty and degradation which proceeds from it. The Hindu has a code of life, which is part of his religion. This code of life gives him many privileges and heaps upon the untouchable many indignities which are incompatible with the sanctity of human life. By the new life movement which has taken hold of the untouchables all over India are fighting against the indignities and injustices which the Hindus in the name of their religion have heaped upon them. A perpetual war is going on every day in every village between the Hindus and the untouchables. It does not see the light of the day. The Hindu press is not prepared to advertise it, lest it should injure the cause of their freedom in the eyes of the world. The silent struggle is, however, a fact. Under the village system, the untouchable has found himself greatly handicapped in his struggle for free and honorable life. It is a contest between the economically and socially strong Hindus and an economically poor and socially small group of untouchables. That the Hindus must often succeed in pulling down untouchables is largely due to many causes. The Hindu has the police and the magistracy on his side. In a quarrel between the untouchables and the untouchables will never get protection from the police or justice from the magistrate. The police and the magistracy are Hindus, and they love their class more than their duty. But the chief weapon in the armory of the Hindus is economic power, which they possess over the poor untouchables living in the village. The economic processes by which the Hindus can hold down the untouchables in their struggle for equality are well described in the report made by a committee appointed by the government of Bombay in 1928 to investigate into the grievances of the depressed classes, and from which the following extracts are made. It illuminates the situation in a manner so simple that even foreigners who do not know the mysteries of the Hindu social system may understand what tyranny the Hindus can practice upon the untouchables. The committee said, although we have recommended various remedies to secure to the depressed classes their rights to all public utilities, we fear that there will be difficulties in the way of their exercising them for a long time to come. The first difficulty is the fear of open violence against them by the orthodox classes. It must be noted that the depressed classes form a small minority in every village, opposed to which is a great majority of the orthodox who are bent on protecting their interests and dignity from any supposed invasion by the depressed classes at any cost. The danger of prosecution by the police has put a limitation upon the use of violence by the orthodox classes, and consequently such cases are rare. The second difficulty arises from the economic position in which the depressed classes are found today. The depressed classes have no economic independence in most parts of the presidency. Some cultivate the lands of the orthodox classes as their tenants at will. Others live on their earnings as farm laborers employed by the orthodox classes, and the rest subsist on the food or grain given to them by the orthodox classes in lieu of service rendered to them as village servants. We have heard of numerous instances where the orthodox classes have used their economic power as a weapon against those depressed classes in their villages when the latter have dared to exercise their rights, and have evicted them from their land, and stopped their employment and discontinued their remuneration as village servants. This boycott is often planned on such an extensive scale as to include the prevention of the depressed classes from using the commonly used paths and the stoppage of sale in the necessaries of life by the village baniya. According to the evidence, sometimes small causes suffice for the proclamation of a social boycott against the depressed classes. Frequently, it follows on the exercise by the depressed classes of their right to the use of the common well, but cases have been by no means rare when a stringent boycott has been proclaimed simply because a depressed class man has put on the sacred thread, had bought a piece of land, has put on good clothes or ornaments, or has carried a marriage procession with the bridegroom on the horse through the public street. This demand for separate settlements is a new demand which has been put forth by the Untouchables for the first time. It is not possible to say as yet as to what the attitudes the Hindus will take to this demand. But there is no doubt that this is the most vital demand made by the Untouchables, and I am sure that whatever may happen with regard to the other demands, they are not likely to yield on this. The Hindus are prone to think that they and the Untouchables are joined together by the will of God, as the Bible says. The Hindu is joined to the Untouchable like the husband is joined to his wife. They will say in the language of the Bible that those whom God is pleased to join, let no man put asunder. The Untouchables are determined to repudiate any such view of their relations with the Hindus. They want the link to be broken and a complete divorce from the Hindus effected without delay. The only questions that arise are those of the cost it will involve in and the time it will take. As to cost, the Untouchables say it should be financed by government. It will be no doubt fall for the most part on the Hindus. But there is no reason why the Hindus should not bear the same. The Hindus own everything. They own the land in this country, they control trade, and they also own the state. Every source of revenue and profit is controlled by them. Other communities, and particularly the Untouchables, are just hewers of wood and drawers of water. The social system helps the Hindus to have a monopoly of everything. There is no reason why they should not be asked to pay the cost of this scheme when they practically own the country. As to time, it matters very little even if the transplantation of the Untouchables to new settlements takes 20 years. Those who have been the bounded slaves of the Hindus for 1,000 years may well be happy with the prospect of getting their freedom by the end of 20 years. The end.